Boo. Boo. Spooked ya. Spooked ya. How we doing? It's been a minute. It's been a minute, folks. And I apologize, you know. When I took up this mantle of Devon's movie Dungeon, I knew you had high expectations. Yeah, I'm really sorry that, you know, I missed an episode. But don't you fret. Don't you fret, because... Don't you fret, Brett, who's in chat. Don't you fret, Brett, see him? Don't you fret. I still watch some movies. Just like the days I usually try to do the stream, I was just busy the last couple weeks. But it worked out because I have seen some movies, but I think if I did it like 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have as much to talk about. So it kind of worked out. But we're back. We're back with Devon's movie Dungeon here on this stream. This is the only place on the internet where I yap to myself for roughly an hour about movies and TV shows I've been watching. So if you are looking for that and you've been, you know, scouring the internet and you finally found it, welcome. But yeah, that's what we do here. I yap about movies that I've been watching, things coming out, any big news. This episode, since it's, you know, kind of a... I had it, like I said, I missed an episode. Kind of get back in the swing of it. I didn't have any big, like... I don't have any big, like, topic to talk tonight. But when I first pitched this, I didn't want to have a topic every single episode. It's more just, if I have a topic I want to talk about, I'll talk about it. So... no big topic today, except for, if you see the title of the stream, Anne Hathaway is the topic tonight. Because I saw 2 Anne Hathaway movies in the past couple weeks. So, and you know, that is our topic, really, I guess. You lost it and now you found it. How was the Super Mario Galaxy movie? We did a whole episode on that. I think I actually covered it even in the last episode. But yeah, let's get right into it here. Let's get right into it. I'm trying to get better at making the intros shorter. Let's get right into it. Boom. And yes, I did add all these a couple hours ago. I'm always bad about adding stuff to my letterbox, but this stream does help me keep on track. Just keep on track here. But yeah, I think the last one I talked about... was it Palestine 36? And I think I didn't say anything about Exit 8 because I was either seeing it or saw it, but we haven't... review episode hasn't come out yet, so... I think that's where we left off. Don't keep it up, don't change thing. Thank you. Did you see Devil Wears Prada 2 movie yet? Yes. I did see Devil Wears Prada 2 movie. That is one of the Anne Hathaway movies I saw. But yeah, let's just start with Exit 8, because I don't think we did a whole episode on it, and you should go watch that for more of a deeper discussion Ethan and I did on this channel, the Sonic Movie Show, because we did see this in theaters. But overall, another surprising video game movie adaptation about a game that is one of those like kind of indie Steam streamer games where you basically the premise of the game is you go down a a hallway leading to an exit. You're in the subway in Japan, and you're going through the exit 8. And if you see anything that looks off, you're supposed to turn back. If you don't see anything that's off, you keep going forward. And basically, you have a certain amount of, I think you have to go through 10 of these levels in a row to beat the game, supposedly. And it is the exit 8, or is it 8 times? 8 times, hence the name. Well, the name is Exit 8, but yes, I think it was 8 times. That's right, not 10 times. But the movie easily could have been boring, and they actually made it pretty entertaining and kept me interested throughout. And I think we gave that one an A rank. But yeah, very surprised by that one. And I'm glad it came to theaters. I think I mentioned it on the review episode we did of it. But hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Felt it coming. I remember when we saw it. My girlfriend went to the bathroom, and she said someone in the bathroom who came out of our theater went and saw Exit 8, obviously. Same theater. It said, like, oh, I'm so glad I watched this movie. I don't usually watch Japanese movies, and so, hey, if Exit 8, opens the door for some general Americans to go see more foreign films, I'm all for it. 8 rank. Exit 8 rank? Maybe that should have been our YouTube channel, because maybe we would have better SEO, No one has Exit 8 rank. But how did they make a movie about that? I mean, yeah, they basically they had like 3 characters that had an interesting backstory or whatnot. AMC, dude. No Cinemark here. I am an A-lister, okay? Certified A-lister for many years. I'm like a veteran at this point. I have seen, probably compared to any movies, I've probably seen the intro with the couple on a date in the movie theater where they throw the popcorn up and then they go through a couple different set pieces. I've probably seen that more than any movie in my life. And that was in English. I guess it wasn't, they didn't have a language, so I guess. But Exit 8 was, I know you're joking. What about Exit 8? Exit 8 was in Japanese. So you had to read, which is hard for a lot of Americans these days. But yeah, Exit 8, surprising. I give it 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. And then it took me a bit to see another movie, but I saw Lee Cronin's The Mummy with a friend. And a Sunday kind of after, I think it was Sunday evening. This was an afternoon, even though I do like my afternoon screenings. And I'm a big horror fan. People know this. And going in, I kind of was like, "Hey, this is fun. I'll, cool." I heard it was gross. And I've seen a lot of horror movies that would be described as gross, or like, whether it's body horror, more specifically body horror, or just like trying to up the ante. I didn't realize it's the same guy who did Evil Dead Rise, which I haven't seen. I've seen all the original Evil Deads. I like those, including Army of Darkness. And I've seen parts of the remake of Evil Dead when I was getting my first tattoo. And I remember, the only thing I really remember is the girl getting shot with the nail gun. And that was, kind of an interesting thing to view while getting your first tattoo and freaking out. So I haven't seen that movie since, but I know, like, that one, Evil Dead Rise, and then there's a new Evil Dead Burn, which I thought I saw that Sam Raimi's more involved with this time or something like that. But yeah, Lee Cronin did Evil Dead Rise, and I haven't seen it, but my friend who did see it says The Mummy, after we watched it, is like pretty similar in terms of its pushing the envelope a bit with the gore and stuff. This isn't really, I guess, can you spoil this, I guess, whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of like teeth and toenail and skin shit in this movie that had me looking away quite a bit in a fun way. I can't do teeth shit. That's where like I usually tap out in movies is or horror movies is like, I mean, I'll keep watching. I shouldn't say tap out, but just like where I have to like I just can't watch it is teeth shit. Anything to do with the mouth, I can't do it. I can't do it at all. Should I turn this down? It's a little overpowering. Yeah, there's just a lot of like teeth and just a lot of mouth shit. And I feel like they made this movie just to creep me out. But yeah, it was. I had a really fun time with it. I think the. Gosh, I don't have it right in front of me. Let's see if I can pull it up really quick here. Like the story itself, like this isn't like your Brendan Fraser mummy movies, obviously. And I know part of their marketing was telling people like, hey, like this Brendan Fraser's not in this movie. Like I wonder how many people did go into this movie thinking Brendan Fraser was going to show up in any capacity, whether it was at the end being like, hey, I need your help to form the Avengers or whatever. This is a standalone mummy thing. And it was just like refreshing, I guess. Like obviously I love the mummy movies, the original, at least the first two for sure. The third one was a little goofy as a kid, even as a kid when I watched it. But we haven't had like I know they tried to do one with Tom Cruise there, but I heard that was bad. I haven't seen that, but they still made this modern, but it didn't let like technology or anything like that really wasn't like a big player in this. Like, you know, you didn't have Tom Cruise in a plane and all that kind of shit and making it an action movie whilst trying to keep it serious. Like this one's a straight up horror movie. Basically the plot is this couple who lives in Egypt temporarily. The dad's like a journalist or like a news guy. And basically their daughter gets kidnapped and goes missing for like 8 years until she's found again, and they find her in a sarcophagus, which is just a crazy start of a story. So just like the whole premise is pretty like outlandish, but it works in the movie. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think my main critique of this was I think they could have just had this take place in Cairo. We do have a cool like B plot with people with an Egyptian police officer, and I found that interesting, and I'm glad that like there's actually Egyptian people on screen in a movie about mummies, which is nice. And, you know, they weren't just you know, like the mummy movies, there's an Egyptian guy who tells gives you the backstory or something, or tries to be like talk about his culture or something like that, where it just felt more like this is it just felt way more what's the word I want to use, just it was nice to see voices and faces of people from Egypt, or at least characters of in Egypt, and I think they could have just kept it in Egypt. They eventually moved to New Mexico in the movie, and that's where most of the movie takes place after that, which was which I was like, do they try to still make it desert feeling without it being in Cairo? I don't know, but my only issue I had was no offense too much to Jack Rayner, because I thought he was good overall, but he did have a couple like facial expressions which I don't think worked in certain parts of the movie where it's supposed to be kind of serious. What rating did I give this? 4 out of 4.5, 4.5. There is supposed to be a Brendan Fraser mummy movie though. I think next year. Why aren't there mummies in New Mexico? I don't know. It was just interesting that they decided to kind of, I don't know if it was just like they thought maybe they couldn't shoot a whole movie in Cairo and people wouldn't have worked or something, but I think it would have still. So that was my only critique, was like I think there was no reason why this movie couldn't have been fully in Cairo or in other parts of Egypt. And I like I said, I enjoyed the characters and the like I said, the whole B plot with the detective there, and more of the mythology is explained through her journey, as opposed to, like I said, someone coming in and being like, here's all the things you need to know about mummies, you know. You better be in a fat suit in the next mummy movie. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's older for sure. We'll see how it goes, but like the last Indiana Jones movie I thought was going to look rough because Harrison Ford is so old, but he wasn't the reason that movie wasn't great. So we'll see. But yeah, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, and it makes me I need to catch it. He did mention this could theoretically take place in the Evil Dead universe. Lee Cronin said that, with Evil Dead Burn coming out this summer, which looks kind of crazy. I feel like I need to catch up on these. If anything, like that, maybe I feel like this is like a sphere of horror movies I haven't, like modern ones that I haven't really touched too much. And I think I think with all the, like I said, the gore and stuff, maybe I need to get my muscle. You know, I need to keep watching more of these. Maybe I'll get more immune to it. But yeah, it was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. It's one of those movies you definitely put on Halloween night when you have friends over, for sure. Next up is our first Anne Hathaway movie, Mother Mary. This movie starred, obviously, Anne Hathaway, but it was directed by David Lowery, who did one of my favorite movies. I actually have it on Letterboxd here, in my 4 favorite films, The Green Knight. So this is his 3rd movie. I still haven't seen A Ghost Story. I've been wanting to watch it. I just haven't got around to it yet. But Mother Mary is obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but if you've watched the trailer, clearly isn't a period piece or historical fiction. This is modern day fiction. This is, and I'll say this from the very forefront, this is an art house film. Like, this is definitely not made for the general audiences in mind. And I like watching these movies because, you know, or at least going in theater and seeing them, because it is kind of fun to see how people's reactions are. I'll say my theater was pretty packed. I think we saw it on I think it was like a Wednesday night. I don't remember. But basically, it's about, and all the marketing was like this, and I was like, all right, I could see the marketing. They made it seem like it was going to be, I'm not going to say they mislead people, but because in the marketing they're like, director of The Green Knight. What is art house? Good question. Art house basically means movies that aren't made with the intent of like being presented to the general public. So it's usually like, that's where like you maybe have a lot of independent movies will be usually classified as art house, because either they don't have the funds to market it as such, but also just like how it's made, they're not worrying too much about maybe a movie that is straight to the point like this movie is. This movie has a lot of themes, and it basically, it's 2 characters in one room pretty much the whole movie. And for maybe general audiences, I'm not gonna say that they're all like this. I would consider myself still a general audience to some degree. Obviously, I try to watch more movies outside of my comfort zone when I can. You know, I would argue, like, it's like David Lynch films are definitely art house, where he makes movies that maybe people are like, I don't get it at the end. I'm not trying to call people dumb, but some people's media literacy isn't either capable or wanting to be capable of watching movies like this one. So I can see a lot of people maybe coming out of this, and I can definitely tell some people, like, after watching this movie, they're like, no one was like mad or anything, but I could just tell by some people's vibe that they're like, that's not what I thought it was, or I wanted more out of some, you know, like they just had the vibe of like, what was that about, kind of. But yeah, it's basically takes place in one room, and it's very like the movie itself is crafted very like play like, which I really dug. Like how the characters are standing, and how like I feel like each person's dialogue, like it feels very like, okay, you're gonna have a monologue, I'm gonna respond, all right, respond back, and then I'll rebuttal, monologue again. And I think in just the set itself felt like a stage because it is in a big barn, basically. So it felt very stage like. And there is some like there's some scenes where like the two characters are talking. I should guess say the characters here. Mother Mary, we don't ever get her name, but it's played by Anne Hathaway. And then Sam, who is her costume designer, played by Michaela Cole there. So, anyways, yeah, basically there's like a couple scenes where like they'll point towards a wall, and then like whatever they're describing will start to happen. And it felt very, once again, like a play or something where you have, you know, people, the stage crew wearing all black coming on stage and like moving things around. It felt very that's not what visually is happening, but it felt like that, if that makes sense. But this movie at first, I was like, even to me, even after the going in, like I said, I'm probably sure a lot of people were not, even though the marketing did say like Green Knight, and people could look up that stuff and whatever. Even I was expecting there to be a little bit more outside of that one room. But when I slept on this movie, like after thinking about it and sleeping on it, like I came back into it in my head where I was like, well, this was really good because like me and Bryn talked about it for like 20-30 minutes afterwards, and I wound up listening to the soundtrack because Anne Hathaway plays a pop star in this. I feel like I'm not describing this movie well at all. I should have mentioned at the very beginning. But she plays a pop star, and so they recorded actual songs, 5 to 6 of them, and you can find it on streaming services. And it's all like alternative pop, which when I do listen to pop music, that's definitely where I gravitate towards. Like one of my favorite artists in the alt pop space is like Banks. I find her stuff really cool, like production-wise, with her voice and whatnot. So some elements reminded me of that. And there's some songs that I listened to the soundtrack, and I was like, these are catchy as hell. If Anne Hathaway wanted to, she could easily do this, I think, as a career if she wanted to. 'Cause she definitely has the voice for it, and I was watching a video, and she was working on lyrics and stuff like that too. So she was very involved in the creative process, which is really cool. And I think helps add to her character that she plays of Mother Mary, who has had different like she's in the kind of the later stages of her career. Not gonna say like she's in the twilight years, but like she's had clearly a couple decades of touring and albums in this movie. But yeah, the music was really good, and there's some like moments in the movie. The only time we're kind of away from that barn is flashbacks to her musical performances that were really good, and I wanted a little bit more of that selfishly. But like the story really is, and the big themes I really took away from this movie, and what really made me like go from a 4.5 to a 5 stars on this one, and it's definitely one I want to rewatch at some point, is this movie isn't just the relationship, both a romantic and well, I should say a romantic relationship between Sam and Mother Mary here that they used to have, and also there's like a just they used to work together when they both first started, and they parted ways, but there's definitely a romantic element to it. But I think the other element with that is, and this is where I really started to really dig the movie, and where this isn't just a story about their romantic relationship, it's a story about their creative relationship and how it used to be, and the main kind of takeaway, there's multiple moments I can spoil or go into, but just overall, like, it talks and focuses on why some relationships don't work, or maybe they did work at the beginning, or whatever it is, in both romantic relationships, but also creative relationships, and kind of how they're similar and different. It just kind of impacted me, of just someone who's, I would say I'm a creative person. I try to be a creative person. It's something, that's what gets me going in my life, is working creatively, both independently and collaboratively. And so this movie did resonate with me with that. Like, the more I really thought about the dialogue and the characters' relationships and how they talked about it, and like I said, there's another part of it isn't just the romantic relationship they have. It's like, it's the creation that they both brought to the table when they worked together, but also separately. And once again, the pros and cons of that. And I think that's how the movie impacted me, and that's why I wound up being like, no, I really like this movie a lot. My initial reaction to it was like, okay, that was different. I have to kind of digest this one. Like I said, as I thought about it and slept on it, I was like, no, this movie's really cool. And it's a movie about the creative experience. If you are a creative person, I think if you watch this movie, you'll understand. And I mean, like, whether it's being a writer or a painter, of the arts, right? Like, I think if you watch this movie, and with that lens, I think you'll have a similar takeaway, like I did. But yeah, I really love this movie. David Lowery's third film. Maybe next time I rewatch this, I have to try to get this physically. This was another A24 film. That's clearly talking about creative relationships. Him and A24. I hope they keep working together, because David Lowery's able to really just tell specific things he wants to tell. Like I said, this movie's completely different than The Green Knight in terms of its setting and characters and whatnot, and its themes. It definitely has the same look, though, which is interesting. It's kind of, I don't know, it feels like if you have a favorite band or something, and they're known for, at least for me and my metal bands, some of my favorite bands, they'll do thematic albums, and how maybe the DNA of the bands carry over, but the story is different, and what they're talking about is different. And I find that shit really cool. So on one hand, I would love another Green Knight kind of story, or a aesthetic, or a setting, fantasy setting. This was still really good, and like I said, it had me thinking and digesting. And Daniel Hart, by the way, did the score for this as well. And there's some similarities with that. Once again, how they work together, there's some similarities there. But also, just in terms of what instruments he uses, and when the sound it hits in the movie, and it just, I don't know. I was nerding out a bit with that kind of stuff and when watching this, because like I said, The Green Knight is one of my favorite movies, so I feel like I know a good chunk of David Lowery, at least from The Green Knight. But like I said, I haven't watched his first movie, so actually I don't know Ball. Yet. Can't say I'm number one fan. But really like this movie. Like I said, all takes place in one room, and I think I said on one of our Sound Movie Show episodes, but I'm sure you haven't watched every single one. But I said on there before, where it takes a lot of talent, both from the director, writers, screenplay, actors, and set, all to really make a movie that takes place in one room entertaining. And that's not to take away from people or movies in the creative space that is required to make movies that are, long or have multiple action sequences and whatnot. But this is tough to do. This movie easily could have been, for the general audience, I shouldn't say general audience, because like I said, I can't really know their opinions, but some of them I could tell were huh? But even just for people like me who maybe try to go outside my comfort zone, this easily could have been all right, cool. but nothing really happens. Like I've seen that people talk about that sometimes, about movies that take place in one area or don't, it was the dialogue was good, but like nothing happens. Now I'm just ranting. I'm just pretending to know what people think about this movie, because I haven't really looked at too many reviews of it. But on IMDb here, I have up here my notes. It has a 6.1 out of 10, which, like I said, I think some people probably went in being like, this is going to be a pop star movie, when really, like, she could have been any type of creative person in this movie. But anyways, I need to move on here. But Mother Mary. I don't know if it's in my top 5. Maybe it is. I haven't really thought about my top 5 too much so far this year. We're getting close to halfway. But it's definitely one of my favorites, though, just of this. Basically, I would say in the last year or so, just because of, like I said, it is art house, a little avant-garde in some areas, but it had some really fun themes to digest. And I was surprised of what it was, so to speak. All right, next is Hokum. This stars Adam Scott. Which I like Adam Scott. I wasn't a big, was he Parks and Rec, right? Was his big kind of breakout with, or at least in the comedy space there. But I really liked him in Krampus and Severance, one of my favorite TV shows, Severance. He's on that. So I was excited for him to get back, though, into horror. He did the horror. Krampus is a horror comedy that he did. So I was excited for him to go back into that. And this one seemed to be a little bit more focused in terms, like, it was more, instead of Krampus being more silly, this was a little bit more. Going in, I thought it was going to be a bit more serious, I guess, but more grounded and supernatural. Basically, it takes place in Ireland, and he is a writer, kind of Alan Wakey in that regard, where he writes these stories, but some of it is projection on his part, which we learned pretty quickly. But yeah, basically there's a lot of, he goes into this inn, and the inn has a spooky room that you're not supposed to go into, and I'll basically just leave it at that. But the first couple scares in the movie were kind of or even downright just bad, unfortunately. Like, I was just like, if this is going to be the rest of the movie with these type of scares, like, this movie's going to be not great. Because, like, everyone was clearly acting and doing their thing, but they're just, some of the scares and how, like, they were edited or paced just didn't work in the first half of the movie. But then they got better. Then the atmosphere got really good in the second half, and it finished stronger. There were some scares that got me, like a couple jump scares that got me, and usually jump scares don't get me too often because like I said, I watch a lot of horror movies, and I feel like sometimes they're predictable. But there were some decent ones I wasn't expecting, or even if I was thinking something was going to happen, how it got me was unexpected. And there's some cool, creepy shit. But overall, I gave it a 3.5 just because that first half just wasn't that great versus the second half. Like, I'm glad it finished strong, so I'm not completely crapping on the movie. But the overall first half, just both the combination of the scares and just like some of the how they were introducing the characters just felt a little flat and stuff. And I don't want to spoil it too much more, but it's an all-right horror movie. It's one that I would recommend if you're looking to welcome back, Brett. Looking to, if you see it on streaming, or this would be like a Redbox classic right here. Back when Redbox was a thing. Is Redbox still a thing? I haven't seen a Redbox here in Colorado, and I don't remember seeing them in Maryland. So I don't think Redbox is a thing anymore. But this would be a good Redbox rent. This is definitely like a rent movie. If you don't watch many horror movies, I think this is a great one to watch, because it's not, like I said, there's the second half is more scary, but like it wasn't like it ain't like Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It's not a popcorn classic. It's not a popcorn classic. No. Like you're not going to be looking away too much from Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I forgot to mention though, in Mother Mary, so I saw these movies within like 48 hours of each other. I was like, all right, cool. I get to clean my palate from all the teeth and gross shit in that movie to watch Mother Mary. And there's a freaking scene in Mother Mary, light spoilers, where someone pulls a tooth. And I'm like, God, dude, I had to fucking look away. I was like, I was not expecting more. I was on a streak of seeing movies that had teeth being pulled, and I was like, fuck that shit, man. God damn. But no, and I was like, if Hokum has a teeth pulling scene, I swear to God. But it did not have a teeth pulling scene. It isn't that type of horror where there wasn't like too much blood or anything like that. I would call it like it's a more digestible, more accessible, I should say, horror film. So good to watch in the spooky season, but you have family over who doesn't want to go too crazy. I think this one will give it just enough juice. People probably stole a disc and didn't return them, but I forget, didn't Netflix eventually buy Redbox? I don't know. Now I'm second guessing. Someone bought Redbox, right? Someone did. I want to look this up real quick. Redbox. Sorry, I think we have a neighbor over, so Mickey's barking. Alright, the Wikipedia says was an American video rental, so that tells me it's gone. It was originally based in Chicago. It was liquidated in 2022. It had over 34,000 locations. Because in June 2024 though, this is where like all the fucking they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the following month for Chapter 7. Redbox online streaming services and mobile app ceased functioning in July of 2024. I don't think Ethan's gonna be here today. But now it's traded on the NASDAQ, or at least it was for 2 years. It was on the NASDAQ? That's funny. Founding under McDonald's. Wait, what the fuck? That's crazy, dude. And it was purchased by Coinstar in 2005. After unsuccessful attempts to sell half the company to Blockbuster and Netflix. It was owned by Coinstar. That's crazy. And Redbox did surpass Blockbuster though in November 2007. Yeah, Redbox was like the shit, man. In like 2008, 2009. Maybe plenty of times we go to you go to Aldi's or like or whatever grocery store, and they would have one outside, and it was like a Thursday night, and we're like, all right, you guys can pick out one movie. We'll bring it back on Sunday or whatever, because you get like 2-3 days to watch it. So many good memories from Blockbuster, yeah. I don't want to go down too much though the nostalgia train, because there is an element of once you get into nostalgia kind of, and we'll talk about nostalgia slop shortly here. Once you get into like nostalgia though, like, and I'm a fall victim to it too, where you're like, oh, life was great, and it's like, yeah, because you were a kid. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm sure if we all have kids one day, they're gonna say the same shit about something, and then we're gonna be like, yeah, it was fine. But that, on the contrary to that, I hear that argument a lot, and I think it's generally a fair argument. On the contrary, there is a lot of shit though that I think you can argue is better for society or less better for society now. Like, you look at any like economics reporting and like how everything's 100% more expensive since 2001, for example, and you're like, yeah, actually it was pretty good. You know what I mean? You're like, it was cheaper to go rent a movie back then than it was now, or whatever it is. So there's a balance take to it all where, yes, some shit was good. You know, I know Ethan and I have talked ad nauseum, I'm sure, to some people on this channel about how maybe the internet already peaked. Like, it peaked in 2012 or whatever. Like, you can put a date on it, you know, a year on it. And in the rise of social media and media conglomerates and media, the lack of media literacy and all that. You can argue all those factors into being like, yeah, the internet sucks right now. The internet does suck. Like, actually. Generative AI, all that shit, too. Another factor into that, where I was like, no, I just miss the pre-era. And there's this idea that, you know, with all that is like, technology must always be advancing, and that's a whole other conversation. I should stop myself now. Yeah. Anyways, go find your local Redbox and go rent Hokum there. Like I said, not like one of the best horror movies this year. I wouldn't put it up there. But like I said, it's more of a good, accessible one, I think. And it's comedic at moments. On to Mortal Kombat. I rewatched. This is the first one of the reboot, not the 1995 one, the 2021 one, which I remember watching at home because this was one of the movies I think Ethan and I reviewed, but I think I remember thinking he had to rent it on HBO Max. HBO Max. It was this and Godzilla versus King Kong are the two I remember watching during COVID, and I think paying an extra $1, or maybe it wasn't extra money and it just was on HBO Max. I think Disney Plus was the one where they still charged like $15 or $20 to watch the live action of what's it called there, Mulan. Like, didn't they charge like $17? I don't remember the number, but I'm throwing a bunch of numbers out there. But I remember it being like double digits, and you had to have a subscription, I thought, too. But maybe not. Maybe you could just have rented it. But I swear, like, I know for a fact that even if you did have Disney Plus, you couldn't watch those movies. You had to pay extra. I know that. Oh, another one we watched, and I think it was on Amazon, because we were supposed to see Bloodshot. Ethan and I were supposed to see Bloodshot with Vin Diesel there for our Vin Diesel podcast. And that was like a week after COVID really started. Was the trainer guy Mulan gay or bi? I don't even know what you're talking about. The trainer guy. I didn't see it. I don't even know. Anyways, Mortal Kombat, I rewatched this one because I was seeing the second one the same night. So I put it on, and I did have to like tune out a bit because I was working when I first started the movie. So I was kind of tuning in and out at the beginning, but there's a lot of this shit I didn't remember, and I remember we gave this an A ranking. And I was like, man, for an A movie, you'd think I'd remember more of it. But after rewatching it, I gave myself a pass a little bit just because it's been 5 fucking years. And there's still movies that I would really love, and if you quiz me on, I probably would still get something wrong. So, memory was a little funky, but then I remembered why. I remember we gave this movie an A, and I think it's just the choreography. And the character design looked pretty solid. The choreography, I would argue, I don't think we said this at the time, but now that we've watched more video game movies up until this point and rewatching this, this is easily one of the better, like in terms of a live action video game movie when it comes to like a fighting game specifically. Like we've seen the Street Fighters, the Tekkens, all that shit. This is easily the best choreography wise in terms of the fights. You didn't see Mulan, not the live action one, and I haven't seen the cartoon since I think Bryn had it on a couple months ago, and I caught the 5 minutes of it. Before that, probably at my doctor's office when I was 10, dude. I don't know. Waiting to get my allergy shots or whatever. But yeah, this movie's still, for a video game movie, still pretty solid. I think in hindsight, if we re-ranked it now, I might drop it down to a B. Just because the plot was a little like it started off pretty good, but then it doesn't hold up as much as I thought. I remember. Here's Ethan. But yeah, Mortal Kombat, the first one. And I won't talk about the second one because Ethan and I haven't recorded yet, by the way. But the first one, I think in hindsight, if I had to re-rank it on our S-rank video game movie scale, if we held it at an A, it's a lower A. But I think it might be a B. And I'm a pretty, I would say, a decent, a big Mortal Kombat fan. Not the die-hard fan, but it's my favorite of the fighting games, and I grew up on it. And I don't know if we ever talked about this on our podcast, and maybe I should save a chunk of this for that. But this movie has has the kind of crux that we see in a lot of video game movies, where we watched a lot of them. Like I said, we watched a lot of them, and sometimes we argue for and against this, but it has the crux of needing to reference. We gotta say, get over here, right? It was kind of cool in it, like rewatching it. But there was more in there where I was like, it just felt a little bit more ham-fisted. And this is kind of, I would guess this kind of blends a little bit into the nostalgia core that we're kind of in right now as a society of, like I said, referencing everything. Hey, we need to point out that this is a reference, or someone has to say the line. And we'll get into the second movie. Like I said, Ethan and I will review it. But like a lot of video game movies we watch, sometimes we say, oh, it's not faithful enough to video game movies, or to the source material being the video games themselves. And sometimes I wonder where that line is, if there is a line, of, like I said, the kind of the references and the having to point back. Like, if that does that make sense? Like, just being like, because it even happens with franchises like Alien Romulus. I would have enjoyed a lot more if, like, afterwards I didn't feel like I was just like, man, there was like 5 or 6 lines that are from the other Alien movies, and like we don't need that. Like, I don't know where that came from. I mean, I'm not gonna blame. I know we like to shit on the Marvel movies on here a lot, and I'm not gonna say they were the ones to start it, but maybe they're the ones to popularize it. Where, like, oh my God, he said the same line he did in Iron Man 2. But then, like, I can go, like I said, there's an element where I get it, though. Like, I get it, because Godzilla King of the Monsters, the 2019 one, had a couple of those moments that the kid in me was like, fuck yes, dude, finally. I get to hear someone say, or hear the music with the Mothra music on the big screen, or like, but granted, that's music. I guess that's a little bit different. But there is stuff in that where I'm like, oh yeah, that's a reference. Like, I don't know where that line is. I think there's a way to do it, and actually we're going to get to our next example of this that I think actually did it very well, where it pulled just enough but not too much to make it nostalgia core. All right, like just pulling on all the threads. And that's The Devil Wears Prada 2. Holy shit, dude. Devil Wears Prada 2 might be my top 5, maybe even top 3 right now. And that's crazy. This might be this year's Twisters. All right, I think 2 years ago when I made Twisters my top 5, that was a surprising pick. Like I never would have had that on my board, so to speak, of like, all right, I know these movies are coming out. These will probably make my top 5 if they meet my expectations. And Twisters was a surprise pick. I think Devil Wears Prada 2 might be my surprise pick this year. I think the line is whether or not it's authentic. Explain more in Monday's episode of Sound Movie Show. Exactly. Iron Man 2, then that's a movie. Sure. But yeah, Devil Wears Prada 2. Going in, and I remember watching the trailer, and I watched the first one. We saw this. I watched the first one on April 5th, a day that will live in history. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was solid, somewhat dated in some ways. And I was like, all right, another legacy sequel where a movie that was popular 20 years ago, and we're finally getting that sequel, and we're bringing everybody back, right? On paper, you're like, all right, this is the same shit. This is going to be the same shit. The same shit. Where all right, they're all going to go in, the band's back together and for some reason, and everyone's going to go through the same motions and say the same lines and whatever. In this movie, and maybe I just have the rose-tinted glasses on, but like I wouldn't call myself, I didn't watch Devil's Wears Prada until literally last month. Like I didn't grow up in a household where we were watching all the rom-coms and the Legally Blondes and all those. No offense to any of those. I didn't grow up in a household like that. I didn't have I grew up in a boys' household, okay? We didn't watch no Disney shit. All right? We were watching Predator. We were watching Terminator. We were watching T2 at 10 years old, okay? I wasn't watching The Notebook or whatever. Letterboxd a 5-star system? Yes. Devil Wears Prada is a popcorn classic. I do agree with you, Brett, there. Certified popcorn classic. But yeah, I went in this movie being like, all right, we'll see what this is. I had pretty low expectations because I was like, I enjoyed the first movie for what it was, and the trailer just kind of seemed, all right, we'll see where this goes. Unironically, this movie had a new message to tell and had a reason to exist. And I'll just say the big starting point of this story felt kind of hit home a bit in terms of like what we're fucking dealing with now as a society. So our main character, right, played by Anne Hathaway. Hold on, where'd my shit go? My shit just disappeared. I want to get all the cast up here. Yeah, we have Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt. All right, and the same director's back too, David Frankel there. And I don't know if it's the same writers. I'll have to look at. Let me see if we can look at that right now. Anyways, Anne Hathaway playing Andy there. Meryl Streep playing Miranda. And I shouldn't forget Stanley Tucci. Is that how you say it? I almost said Tucci. That's not right. That doesn't sound right. Stanley Tucci plays Nigel. By the way, they all have aged incredibly. Like, Meryl Streep still looks gorgeous in this movie. All right? Everyone looks gorgeous in this movie. I'm being real. The wardrobe. I was thinking about this. I'm like, if you rewatch Devil Wears Prada, there's some like awful fits by today's standards, but I'm sure we're gonna say the same thing about this movie in another 20 years. Prada has the main character of Final Fantasy 13 a digital photo shoot in a magazine back in 2010 or whatever. Hell yeah. Tucci is how you pronounce his name? Okay, thank you. I wanted to see if the writers are the same. Yes, same writer. Eileen Brosh McKenna and Lauren Weisberger was also on the first one, and they really, that's all they haven't written. They wrote the novel. There's a novel. They wrote a novel. That's awesome. So yeah, we have the whole. So it wasn't like we just got the characters back and the actors and actresses back. We got the director, we got the writers back. And like I said, it shows because they have an actual story to tell, and it wasn't... And there was really, like... There's a couple references to the first movie, but it was done in a way where it was, like, not someone saying the line again. Like, it felt... Any, like, references to the original felt genuine and felt like real human beings. Stanley's character there, Nigel... You know, he in the first movie he always made fun of Andy's size, her dress size. So I think 8 or whatever it was, and he mentions that once in the beginning of the movie, and it felt genuine. It didn't feel like, oh, I'm hey guys, I'm saying the joke. Like I think he said something to like, hey, welcome back 8. Like it was like, hey, you know. So, but basically how the story starts, and this is a light spoiler. But this is the reason I'm bringing this up is that it really kicked off the rest of this movie and like why it felt important to tell, because it's relatable. So Andy, you know, always wanted to be a journalist. She's now a journalist, and she works at kind of an independent magazine or a newspaper, and she has a you know, her writer's room with her, and they're clearly like they do like good independent reporting like across the globe and stuff. And in fact, they're at an award, like a journalist award dinner event, and she wins an award, but when she wins the award, they all got a text that they all got laid off. And I'm like, dude, wow, this movie's actually gonna like tackle like journalism in that way, where like, and they make an effort throughout this rest of this film to be like, yeah, no one respects journalists anymore. Everyone doesn't read the newspaper. Journalism's dead. Do a Les Mis too. I still need to watch Les Mis. That's another. I have it physically on DVD, and it's been sitting there, and I've been itching to watch it. And I make jokes about it all the time in Counter-Strike. But I don't even think I'm selling enough well. But like, this movie, like I said, kicks off with just like, why are these characters all getting back together? And basically, the whole theme of this movie just very much is like, titles and shit really don't matter. It's like, I'm not gonna say this movie's like super woke in a like leftist scope, but it definitely, I would put it more in like, it at least brings the looking at workers as human beings, because the first movie was obviously did to some degree, but I don't think the message at the end would resonate as much now. The message in this movie really, for me, was like, shit, you gotta respect, like, the people in your lives, man. Like, who do, like, especially if you, like, are in a small business or even just, like, in your family, whatever it is, like, the people that do a lot of the work that you don't see and appreciate and that you take for granted. Like, that's kind of one of the big themes of this movie. But also just, like, I think it and all the characters get happy endings for the most part, and I really enjoyed that more compared to the first movie, where like some characters don't get humbled, but how the characters get humbled in this movie like felt justified, but then also like they learned from it, and it just was like, I don't know, it was good. It was a good hopecore movie. I know everyone's talking about hopecore these days, so I'm gonna bring it back, hopecore, just to get the, you know, the buzzword out there. It had a positive ending where, like, hey, these systems we're in kind of suck, right? And maybe, you know, no one's saying we need to abolish everything. Like, there's no, like I said, there's not, like, communists in this, but, like, they at least acknowledge that there's problems in our society, I feel like, way more compared to the first one. And they're very, like, upfront about it. And our characters grow and whatnot. I can't really spoil it, but, like, if you've watched the first one, like I said, I was really surprised by this film. I might want to watch it again, like, soon. I really, like, enjoyed it. It was like 2 hours, but it didn't feel like 2 hours. But, like, the pacing was good. The only critique I had is Andy, slight spoilers again, Andy has a relationship, that kind of a romantic relationship, which I didn't necessarily, don't know how much that was needed too much, but then you know, as I thought about it, I'm like, she needed to be humbled too. Everyone gets humbled in this movie, but in like a positive way, and it was good. It was just good, man. Karl Anthony Towns was in this movie. Sorry, I'm just spoiling shit, but he has a 2-second cameo. But that also was like really funny. And then hey, the Knicks have been undefeated since. But yeah, man, I was surprised by this movie, and I was like, damn, this was fun. You talking about certified popcorn classic? This is like a double popcorn. You need to have 2 popcorns with this. And once again, like I said, for a legacy sequel, it was way more. It just felt more mature. Like you know, the first one, they were all adults, right? Obviously, and it, you know, but granted, Andy's character was supposed to be like, I just got out of college. Like, all of them felt like their characters have grown in 20 years, but also not, and still need growing to do. And I think it's, like I said, goes back to the main theme of like, even if it doesn't matter what your title is or how much experience you have, there's a lot of people who do a lot of shit to make the thing work, and you can always learn to get better at something, even if you've been in it or not. And at the same time, you know, it's about changing, but also knowing how to change, because there is elements that they talk about in this movie about AI and how billionaires. Also, I forgot to mention, I guess it is woke in this regard, is that, like I said, it's not. I'm not gonna say it's like super far left, but in today's standards, it clearly makes a point in this movie of being like, these billionaires don't know shit. They don't know shit. Even about the shit that they consume. They don't know shit. That's a whole other premise in this movie, but it goes back to the same thing. Like, just because you got the title and the money doesn't mean you know ball. That's kind of what this movie is. And everyone gets humbled. Like I said, for a legacy sequel, this movie felt more mature and modern. And that just made the movie feel like, okay, this is why they're telling this story. This is a story that is worth telling. This isn't just, all right, the boys are back together movie, you know. The gang's back together. And not everyone's referencing the jokes from the first movie. Like, there really is none of that. The only thing that's like from the first movie is they kept some of the Kmart classics in there. You gonna see Michael? Okay, low key, I won't lie. When they showed the trailers for Michael, I'm like, these biopics are getting annoying. We get like 2 a year, and it's always the next one. And I'm like, but if they do a faithful Michael Jackson, I didn't mind the Elvis one. The Elvis one wasn't bad. I enjoyed that one. But I was like, if they don't mess up this Michael one. But I wasn't going to be like day one seated. But I was like, all right, if I hear it's decent, I'll go see it. Because, I mean, Michael Jackson's career is crazy. And that's putting it, you know. There's crazy in other ways and crazy in other ways. You know what I'm saying? But then I saw people's react, like the critic score, and I do trust the critic score when it comes to biopics. Then I see some general people being like, it was fine. But I know it was going to be hype. I knew people were going to be hyped about it. It's Michael Jackson. But I did see a headline. This is where I was like, I'm just not going to see this, probably. I did see a headline. I think it was the director responding to somebody saying, because I guess this is a part one. They said, hey, are you going to address the child abuse allegations? Specifically, yes, the dealing of children. Because basically the guy said, the director said, well, there's going to probably be a sequel. That's how he phrased it. But, people did say there was a lot of hands from the Jackson estate involved in this movie compared to the Elvis movie, where I think the Elvis movie did make an effort to be like, hey, this guy wasn't necessarily always the perfect person. So, but then people were saying that the people just said it wasn't great overall. But But I guess it doesn't get into the second kind of, the sequel, the mid 90s onward Michael Jackson, I guess, is what I've heard. So maybe I'll see it eventually, just for the sake of seeing it, I guess. I mean, shit, dude, if there's ever an Ozzy Osbourne, there's gonna be an Ozzy Osbourne biopic movie, I'll probably be seated. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I get why they're popular and they make money, because you have X amount of fan base that you can at least guarantee to show up to the theater for it. And Ozzy's probably the only one that would be big enough in my scene, so to speak, that I'm interested in or involved in, that would bring enough people to theaters for general audiences. Because they're never going to make a, biopic for, I don't know, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden. Like, they're just not going to do that. Because, yes, I know who that is, and every metal head I know knows who that is. But, like, once again, general audience. So, like, yes, that's why they only make Michael Jackson ones, or they make, I'm surprised there hasn't been a Prince one yet. Like, that's the next one, right? Of the big pop stars. Did they show Elvis dying in the toilet in the Elvis movie? I don't think they showed it. I think they showed him leading up to it, and then I'm trying to remember now. I don't think they showed it happening. The answer is no. I don't think so. All I remember though is I saw the clip going around from that movie where it's Tom Hanks's character hearing Elvis for the first time, and then someone says, "Oh, he's white," and then it's him going, "He's what?" And like everyone's used that clip for stupid shit. He's what? All right. Ethan likes Beep Boop Bomb. Yes. Ethan's a big Jungle Terror fan. I don't know if people know this. Big Jungle Terror fan. I mean, I am too, but he's more of a diehard. Like, he could tell you everything you need to know about Jungle Terror. Like, people don't even know that Ethan has like a whole alter ego when he does DJing at the clubs, because he wears a mask and everything, and it's like a whole thing. But the only other thing I've been watching, I did finish Godzilla the Monarch there. The last couple episodes were honestly pretty mid, but at least the last episode I was like, all right, if this is the direction to go for potential season 3, I'll still be interested. I wrote the book on Jungle. I call it the Jungle Book. That's good. So yeah, the Godzilla show was cool for the most part. Wasn't great, but like I said, I will eat up the Godzilla anything, even if it's not the best. Because you just never know. You just never know when Godzilla will just disappear for another 10 years. So you just never know. You kind of take it. Doesn't mean we don't deserve better, but you just never know. But I have 2 things on my watch list, and one of them I've already caught up on, and now I have to wait for new episodes. There's only been 4 episodes so far. And they're both on Apple TV. But this first one is Widow's Bay, which I'm just going to kind of... I didn't have any trailers today, so we can...
You want to grab some...
So we can watch this one here.
I'm Tom Loftus.
Oh,
Tom.
Nice to meet you, Arthur.
You want to grab some coffee?
No, I'm good. Jerry was just taking me through some of your history.
Oh, that's great. Yes, well, remarkable story.
This is on Apple TV.
I was talking to the guy
that, right?
on the ferry, and he said something odd.
What was that?
We said bad things happen here.
There is something about these seafaring towns. The superstitions, their tall tales. I find it charming myself. What town doesn't have a checkered past?
Was there cannibalism?
No. I don't think that's right.
So this is a horror comedy, and it's pretty good. the trailer, I was like, all right, this looks cool. We'll watch the first episode, second episode, first 2 episodes there. And horror comedy is hard to pull off. I mean, I talked about Evil Dead earlier. You know, how they do comedy is more of the splat stick, you know, horror comedy where it's, you know, the joke is the creature itself or the one-liners or whatever. You know, this one is more, I guess, in the hokum. I said hokum was kind of comedic. I would say even this is way better executed, where there's comedic beats, but they are able to still slide those in while building up tension or having genuinely scary, spooky moments. And there's some pretty good parts where I was like, oh shit, where I had like, some goosebumps going. While having a character, the mayor there, played by, let me get my IMDb up here. Played by Matthew Rise there. Tom Loftus is his character. But he's a mayor of this this island town off of the New England area. Kind of similar to Midnight Mass, where it's like a town and an island there. What's that? Oh,
I'm sorry, I forgot.
you're good. Thanks, Ethan, for popping in. Hope you feel better. What was I saying? Where it's like I do love the island theme. One movie we watched, Siren, on this channel for Video Game Movie. Similar thing where it's a town, you know, a small town on an island. Yeah, so it's a cool setting, but there's a lot of... It's a kind of monster of the week right now, where you have a new spook every week, but then now there's been one overarching one. And yeah, Stephen Root's in it. He plays like this old-timey sailor. I think he's like almost like a retired sailor. I don't know how often he's out and about, but he knows all the sea shanties and the supernatural stuff of the ocean. And that's basically how this movie shtick starts, is that like the mayor is trying to bring more tourism back, and he has a New York Times reporter coming and all that, and he starts to listen too much to Stephen Root's character Wick there, too much about all the supernatural shit, and then it starts happening to him, and even us as the audience, sometimes you don't know how much of it is legitimate or not. I'm leaning towards it being legitimate, but maybe there'll be an explanation for everything. But there's some really just funny shit that happens that's both, like I said, both funny and spooky, and they just blend those things together, and it's very well executed, and it works. I think it's hard to do. It's really hard to do, to make a movie both comedic and actually genuinely scary. Because sometimes you have one end to the other, right? And it doesn't work. But yeah, having a lot of fun with this, Widow's Bay. I'm caught up, so I have to wait every week. But once again, Apple TV, I think it might be the best streaming service out there right now, because they shoot on location, it seems, and they have great sets, and they have really fun ideas and characters. Like I said, Severance is definitely one of their pinnacle flagship at this point. But what was it there? Pluribus was very good. Same thing. Has the same quality as Pluribus, where like, here's a fun idea, let's roll with it. And it's made by Katie Dippold. Not familiar with her. Oh, she did the 2016 Ghostbusters, and she did Parks and Rec and The Heat as well. So she definitely has a comedic background here. I know everyone crapped on the 2016 Ghostbuster movie, though. What's the next Michael Bay movie? I am not sure. I'm not keeping track of Michael Bay's movies right now. It's probably another Transformers or something. Yeah, the other movie I wanted to, or other TV show that's on Apple TV I want to watch, now I'm blanking on the name. I'm trying to get it. It's with Ellie Fanning. what's it called? Yeah, Margot's Got Money Troubles. It has 8 episodes so far. So another one that's going right now. Basically, it's a family, and her father's a wrestler. Her mother is some sort of like podcast. I don't know what she was actually. But she's like trying to get money basically, and she does like OnlyFans and some other odd jobs, it looks like. But people are raving about it. People are saying it's pretty good comedy, and the trailer looks fun. So I might give it a shot. I'm still trying to finish up Spy Family as well, but I'm having issues accessing one of the episodes right now. I'll keep it at that. So we're trying to finish up some other, like I said, Spy Family, and I'm caught up with Widow's Peak here, Widow's Bay, Widow's Peak, and I might start this other one here. Maybe I might wait for it to be done and then watch it, just because sometimes if you start too many shows and I feel like it's overwhelming, because I still want to keep watching movies and whatnot, and I always have my giant backlog of physical media and whatnots, and our just stuff I see. Sometimes we put on a streaming service like HBO Max or something, and be like, all right, what's playing, or what's available, or sometimes what's leaving, right? Sometimes you're like, all right, I gotta watch something that's me leaving soon, get my money's worth. But sorry, my nose is being annoying right now. But I think that's it. I Love Boosters by Boots Riley, who he did Sorry to Bother You and I'm a Virgo. He also has multiple albums, hip-hop albums from the late 90s, early 2000s. He's a communist. Recommend all of those things. But he has a new movie coming out called I Love Boosters, and it looks very fun, both visually and like huge color palettes. All his other stuff had pretty similar stuff, where he has a I don't know what the word is for it, but he definitely has a style. It's very stylized, I guess, in his stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it comes out next week. Backrooms comes out, actually. That looks pretty good. I know we technically aren't putting it under the video game movie because it technically comes from a creepypasta, I believe. So I don't think we'll be reviewing it on this channel, but I'll be seeing that. I'm a sucker for liminal spaces shit. I don't know what you like. There's a word for it. Someone who's interested in those things, and I don't find them necessarily like creepy or anything. But I do like You ever see on YouTube they have like the liminal hallways or liminal rooms, or like kind of that like almost hyper modern look. Like I don't like it necessarily to live in. Like, and you see houses that are like super modern. I don't know if I would live in it, but I do like the aesthetic of it. So that's why I'm kind of intrigued by it, because I do like if you ever go on YouTube, you can look up like it'll be like usually it's like labeled as like early 2000s like liminal. There's like also like a sound to it where it's usually like kind of like spa sounding music. Maybe I'm just going off the deep end here, but I don't know. There's an aesthetic that I like, and this is like a horror version of that. So we'll see how much it's spooky to me or not, because like I said, I find it kind of appealing. It makes my brain tick. That's all I can say. But I think that's going to be it. I forgot to mention this last time, but my goal is to watch 100 movies this year, and I think I'm at 36, and it's about to be June, so I gotta get going a little bit. But I also have to trust the math, because if you watch about 8 every month, you'll be close. So 36 movies this year. we're on pace. I think we're on pace still. Maybe a little bit behind, but like in October I usually watch like 15 movies or more. So like I'll make up ground. I'm going camping throughout the summer, and usually we try to download some movies on the iPad and put in some. Usually they're just like whatever B horror movies, usually just in case we fall asleep or whatever. So I'll catch up. I'm not too worried because 36 really isn't that bad. I don't think. But all right, folks. I think that's going to be it. Appreciate everyone being here. If you enjoyed this, go check out our other stuff on here. We have a variety channel, so we do video game stuff, other movies. I do movie reviews. We're a little bit more polished than this on movies that are coming out. And I have in the docket, I don't have it shot yet, but I have at least 2 kind of spin-off movie review ideas coming out hopefully this year. But one of them I might be shooting next month, probably next month. So hopefully it comes out good. But yeah, we do video game movie reviews on here, streaming stuff, you name it. We're here. So go check it out if you're interested. But thanks, Brett, for being here. Thanks for Ethan earlier. And thanks to anyone who's watching this VOD in the future after this is aired. Hello from the future, or from the past. Hope everyone's doing well. But yeah, I'll catch you all later. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.